when it comes to end times prophecy, specifically out of the book of Revelation, there's a big mistake that most people I talk to make. Because when I ask or we have a dialogue about, well, what is this thing? They attach the wrong things to the wrong things. Let me show you what I'm getting at. The biggest mistake that most people make is they fail to separate four major things: the beast, the Antichrist, the prophet, and Babylon. They kind of put them all together. They would read something about the beast and they're like, oh, so therefore the Antichrist is this thing. Or they read something about the Antichrist and they'll say, well, therefore Babylon is this thing. So it's very important that you separate out those four things. For example, most people that I've talked to that will somehow foolishly point towards Rome as Babylon will base it off of the description in Revelation 7:9 about the beast, not Babylon. And the beast is a system. Be very clear. And the seven heads are, and it says there's seven mountains, and the seven mountains are seven principalities of wickedness, not these hills by Rome. Be very clear. Just when they describe the beast, they're not describing Babylon. When they describe Babylon, they're not describing the Antichrist. It's very important you separate those things out. Because of that, oftentimes people foolishly mistake, where is Babylon? I believe it is very clear, because I've heard so many people say, well, there's no prophecy about America. Well, of course there is. Almost all of chapter 18 is about America, aka Babylon. And there's many reasons why. Read through chapter 18 Revelation, and really what you're reading is you're reading a very, very, very accurate description of modern day United States of America. Also, the big mistake that they make is they say, well, because it says it's a city. Well, let's look at that word city for just a second, because if you go to Revelation where it says, standing at a distance for fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour your judgment has come. So let's take a look at that word city, because most ancient Greek scholars would argue that that word for city, it is polos. Based off of the word polis, which is a city or state, based off of the fundamental political Greek unit polis comes from. So depending on how, so they just say, well, it's a city because it's the ancient Greek city-state. And if you look at it this way, it changes everything. But beyond that, it sits on all the waters of the earth. Nobody buys as much as we buy. Nobody spends as much as we spend. Nobody has as great a military as us. All the things that point towards America being Babylon in Revelation 18. It's plain and clear. And the reason I think it's so important to understand, because somebody might say, well, who cares? What does it matter? Well, it's very important, because what it says in Revelation 18:4 is this, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins, unless you receive of her plagues. For her sins have reached to heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. So as Babylon is destroyed, it's very important that we not engage in this fundamental spirit of Babylon, because the other mistake a lot of people make, you know how many times I've heard people say that actual ancient Babylon will somehow become the political seat of the world and the financial bank of the world. Come on, man, that place is burnt down and destroyed. It is not coming back. It is America. And the sooner we open our eyes to this thing, because when you look at Babylon, every time it's talked about in the Bible, it is a spirit of Babylon. It is the seat of the devil, the seven mountains. Now be very clear, the seven mountains of the head is 6 principalities of wickedness, and the king of the earth is the 7th, who will always reign over Babylon, whatever it is, whether it's a city, a state, a nation, the world. It is the spirit of Babylon. And, even when you look at the harlot, it's clearly America's harlot. It's very important we understand what it is God is talking about when he refers to Babylon. And so we understand its destruction, because he's calling us out of there. And there's a point where you need an exit strategy of some sort. It's important that we wake up to this. In 1 hour, it is destroyed. Not one day, not 1 month, not 1 year, in 1 hour.